Body of Wood by Pierre Michon, translated from the French by Erik Noonan. Friday, 16 July, 1852. Sunrise. The end of the night. It rained. It isn't raining anymore. Large slate clouds run across the sky. Flaubert hasn't slept. He goes out into the garden at Croisé. Lime trees, then poplars, then the Seine. An outbuilding on a bank beside some water. He's finished part one of Madame Bovary. That Sunday he would write Louise Collet how at dawn on Friday he'd felt strong, serene, blessed in sense and in purpose. The dawn wind does him good. He has a tired, fat, handsome face. A calm, fat, handsome face. He loves writing. He loves the world. Deprived of a party, country, house, personal life, etc., he made writing his only reason to live, and it grips one's heart how seriously he takes the written world. These words of Pasolini's pertain to Gombrowicz, but they might just as well be applied to Flaubert, and one's heart would not be gripped any less, maybe more. For if Flaubert had a personal life, as Gombrowicz did after all, but then Pasolini always goes very fast. He pretended not to have one, just as he pretended to have no house, country, freedom, mother named Caroline, orphaned niece also named Caroline, Seine at the end of the path rolling on before his eyes, sharecroppers, hillside groves, heaps of disciples and flatterers, well-meaning interns hard at work on his behalf in the corridors of Paris journals and salons. All things Gombrowicz truly did not have that he, Flaubert, had. Flaubert pretended to have none of all that which he had, and for him this pretension became real. He patched together a mask which comprised his skin, and with which he wrote his books. Skin and mask had been so well glued that when he wished to retire it, he found nothing more in his hand than an indissoluble mixture of flesh and cardboard under the thick clown mustache. Perhaps it wasn't truly the clown that he played so much as the monk, and not just to the stands, but in his own eyes and to himself. He was not only a defrocked friar with the guys or on the street. He donned the silk babouche when he went home, too. He dispossessed himself of the Seine that rolled on before his eyes, the small girl who lived on her feet, whom he puts to death in all his books. He hardly saw her. The loveliest girls of his day, the finest, too, for sure, who wanted him so that he happened to come. He dispossessed himself of them, whether he came or opted to come no more, which amounted to the same thing. No apples from Norman orchards, no trees deep in the woods, no unlaced Louise Collet, no lilies, no young laughter, no Louise Collet weeping at his door. He kissed it all off, laughed over it and kissed it off, cried about it and kissed it off. He was not there. In fact, he had nothing. He was deprived of everything, since it was in his head. Unshod, Le Calme knows why he has kicked off his stockings. He knows why he passes bootlessly through this life. He is not from here. The true life is elsewhere. He knows for sure that naked feet warm up under God's breath. Cadavers and icy souls warm up. We pass, God does not. Le Calme takes his God very seriously. The seriousness isn't conducive to laughter. It pours the heart full. The mask of Croisé, Flaubert, also knows why, long ago, he surreptitiously kicked off the silk babouche that he nonetheless still wore on his feet. He had a sort of God before whose eyes he passed barefoot, The god of the fat barefoot friar in silk babouche on the Seine's banks was art. We pass, art does not stay. It scarcely warms at all. The air of time breathes it. In this life and in the other, it alone gives us that mixture of flesh and cardboard which we find at our fingertips, vaguely sated, terrified, this disgusting mixture we caress and get a feel for whenever it occurs to us to make sure we've still got a face left somewhere behind that long mustache. Flaubert took art very seriously. This seriousness is conducive to laughter. It grips the heart. This grip which conduces to laughter is what we undergo in the presence of misery. Flaubert is our father in misery.